This conference will now be recorded.
That was a quick meeting.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Town of Stratford Roosevelt Forest Commission meeting of February 23rd, 2022 to order at 6:32 p.m. I'm looking for approval of the minutes of the regular meeting, January 26th, 2022.
So moved by Bill O'Brien.
Moved by Mr. O'Brien, seconded
I'll second it.
by Mr. Vavakwa. Any discussions, additions, omissions? If none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So carried. I'm going to go out of order on the agenda because we do have a guest on. And I want to be cognizant of her time. Kelly Kerrigan, Kelly's on, right? First Kelly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep,
hi,
I'm
Kelly.
here.
I lost you in my Hollywood Squares here. For those of us who remember Hollywood Squares. Can you want to introduce Catherine to the group and what's going on?
Sure. I just thought that I had recently met with Catherine for her pending Eagle Scout project, and I just thought it would be great if she would come on and introduce herself and introduce her project, being that it is in Roosevelt Forest. And Catherine may potentially be the first female Eagle Scout in Stratford, so that's really exciting news. So without further ado, Catherine, if you want to just let us know what high school you go to maybe, and then a little bit about your project and how it's coming along.
My name is Catherine McCory. I'm a sophomore at Bunnell High School. So I'm a Life Scout from Troop 20 in Stratford, and I'm working towards my Eagle project. So my project is to redo the siding on 2 of the lean-tos at Roosevelt, as well as adding plywood to the inside of them. So, and like the project is important to me because Roosevelt has always just been a place that I love to be at, like camping with my troop and spending time with my troop there. And the project also kind of ties in with my brother's Eagle project. He redid the roofs on the same lean-tos, so it's like kind of makes me feel a little closer to him if I do this project. So, I have this Saturday I am purchasing the wood for like the live edge siding for my project. So I've sourced and found the wood for that, and I have contacted Bridgeport Lumber, and I'm waiting for a price on the plywood. And I still have to raise about $500 for my project. And Mayor Hoydick, Ms. Kerrigan, and the town has generously donated $700 towards my project to purchase the materials. And I would like to have my project done by end of March, like early April. And I think that's about it.
Oh, excellent. Well, congratulations on really embarking on the feat of Eagle Scout. I like to joke when you're 60 years old one day and you're putting all your stuff on your resume, the one thing you could always put on it is Eagle Scout from high school. Valedictorian, no one cares about. Eagle Scout, they do. So kudos. Mr. Ford's chuckling at me, but I'm going to let my resident Roosevelt Forest Commission members, if you guys have any questions or comments to Catherine.
Hi, Catherine. Which of the lean-tos are you doing the siding on?
1 and 2, I believe.
Okay, so one of them already has plywood that's on the studding, but it's missing siding. Is that one going to get sided?
Yes.
So then the other one, what are you going to do? Strip the siding off of it, put plywood up, and then add the live edge over the top of that?
I think we're planning on doing the live edge first and then adding the plywood in after to the inside of the lean-tos.
Okay, so the one that has the plywood up, the plywood's on the outside, so it's serving as a sheathing.
Yeah.
And you know, that probably saved that lean-to because the siding was stripped off by people who were basically taking it to burn. You know, it was folks who didn't belong in the forest and they were having fires up there, and they've stripped that off. And the sheathing kept the whole thing from collapsing. If they had pulled all that siding off, then there wouldn't have been anything to brace it, and it probably would have gone over. And I say that because that lean-to was done 20 years ago, and that was actually done as an Eagle Scout project by one of my sons. So that's why I'm familiar with it. I know it's a really big job to pull the live edge off and then put the siding on and go from there. But, you know, I think you end up without those cavities. I think part of the thing that keeps those lean-tos intact is that there's really good air circulation. But if you have siding on the outside and then you're sealing up those bays, you know, somebody else may know better than I do, but I suspect that may mean that you can get some hidden rot. Does anybody know anything about that? Because you're going to have it's unheated space, obviously, but you're going to have an outside cover, you're going to have an inside cover, and then you're going to have this uninsulated space and unheated space in between. And you might end up with condensation occurs in there, and if you get that, you're going to get rot.
I think we're planning on leaving a space like on the top of it so that there is.
I agree with Bob that the plywood siding should be on the outside and then put the live edge siding over the plywood.
I believe it's on the inside to stop the people from kicking out the wood so that it doesn't get damaged this time, or hopefully not.
Yeah, the kicking out happens when it doesn't have the sheathing on it. The one that has the sheathing, the plywood,
yeah,
and then has the live edge over the top of that, that didn't get kicked out because to kick it out, you'd have to kick the sheathing off, and that's what remained intact. So I agree that if you put it on the inside, it will protect it from being kicked out. But I think it's going to open it up to the long-term problem of rotting that it can occur in the sill and occur in the studding and occur in these other places.
And you can throw, my tray is probably ready to go in the sink. Sorry.
Thanks, Eileen. The pleasure of Zoom-like meetings. So, you know, I'd love to have somebody with a little bit more expertise than I have say if they think that's okay or not.
So I've been working with Catherine on this project.
Oh, there we go.
It's not going to be sheathed solid on the inside. There's actually going to be strips that are going to be spaced. So there'll be space at the bottom, space in between the strips. And it's just so that the spaces are too small to kick through, but it will allow that air circulation that is the concern.
Okay, and then that will also give it additional strength, which is good.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I didn't realize that you were with us, Chuck.
I was talking, but didn't realize I was on mute. So
okay.
I just sent Chuck a message. Chuck, you're on mute. I heard the lips moving.
Okay.
And
that's good.
It's good to have a resident architect on board with you, so that helps.
Yeah. And Catherine, it sounds like a great project. I'm happy to hear that you're doing it.
Thank you.
But Chuck, these spaces at the top, middle, and bottom, are they going to bring in critters that would nest inside that wall?
I guess there's a potential for that. There's already some of that goes on in the roof, particularly with bees and wasps. I guess, yeah, there could be a potential for that.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Any other questions?
I would rather see that. I would rather see that plywood on the outside and then the siding, but I guess it could try.
I know it's been a while since we've on the Eagle Scout projects. I forget. Do we need an approval, or we just get notified of this, Kelly? I'll go to Kelly.
I've been meeting with Catherine and providing her approvals as she's gone through the process. But I just wanted her to come on and introduce herself and say hi to everyone since she's working in the forest. That's all.
Yep, and there's no need to have a formal vote on that, but we all wish you luck, Catherine. We wish you good weather as you put together this project, and really you should be very, very proud of yourself to be taking on this task. So congratulations on behalf of all of us. Please go on mute. Ellen, I think it's you. There we go. Perfect. All right, excellent. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Hey,
Great.
Bob, real quick.
Sure.
Catherine, this is Bill O'Brien. Did you say you still need to raise some money?
Yeah, I still need to raise a little bit for my project.
About how much more?
About 500 to 700.
Okay, if I come up with any ideas, I'll get the information to Kelly and she can pass it on to you.
All right, thank you.
Great. Again, congratulations for everything. Chuck, you're still here.
Catherine, before you go, you want to talk about the idea of crowdfunding that someone suggested?
Um, oh yeah, I was wondering if there's any way we can put a message out or something on like Facebook or something to get out the word. Like the Friends of Stratford page.
I can do it on the Roosevelt Forest Facebook page. But how does that work? I mean, if we put a message out, do you have a GoFundMe page? Is there something along those lines?
Okay, so we don't have anything set up right now, but if anyone's willing to donate, we could maybe private message and try and figure something out.
Okay. Are you a member of the Roosevelt Forest Facebook page, or somebody in your family, your parents?
My dad is.
Oh, your dad is. Okay. Ask your dad to put a message up, and I'll make sure that it's there, and we'll get that will give us more information. And he could put a little blurb in about what you're doing and what you need, and we'll see if it generates any interest. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Good.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? If none, all right, we'll go to the next part of the meeting. The boardwalk on the Orange Trail. Any update on that, Kelly? Or
I believe that was in my hands. I've been a little preoccupied with I'm closing a grant and opening 2 grants right now in the middle of budget season, so it's a little crazy. So I didn't get to it this past month, so I do apologize, but it's on my list.
okay, great.
Good.
We'll keep continuing items. The dog park. I have some information, but Kelly, do you have any information on the dog park or any other member?
I do not.
The question I was going to ask is, I guess, well, first and foremost, thank you to the Public Works Department. When we said we were going to do the dog park, we said we would get to the snow removal when the rest of the town was done. And you guys have been doing that. So congratulations on, opening the park up for everyone. The cameras, which is going to be a different part, but I believe there is a beta test camera near the dog park. Do you know anything on that, Kelly?
I don't. I thought that maybe, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus. I didn't know if Bill was maybe looking into that. I haven't been dealing with the police department on that.
Bill, do you have any updates on that?
No, I haven't heard anything. The last I heard was that it was out for bid, and that's the last I've heard.
Yeah, I think there's a beta camera out there at this point. I can't confirm nor deny that. I just heard that the other day. I haven't seen it, but I heard they're beta testing one right now out there. So, which you'll talk about more stuff. But that's the only update I have. The other thing, I guess we could talk. Well, no, I don't want to put it under dog park. We'll continue. Well, yeah, we could talk about that now. We have been getting. Speaking of dogs, we have been getting complaints about dogs in the forest on the trails off leash. Chief McNeil, who the animal control is under, Chief McNeil has been out there, animal control, and they have been patrolling up there. I can't tell you how many citations have been done or anything else like that, but they are patrolling up there regularly. So scout camps in live edge repair. That's interesting that we're on that. Does this kind of take? Well, we have this obviously this Boy Scout project going on, or the Scout project, I should call it. Any other comments on this? Wasn't there funds set aside for this live edge repair at one point, or am I mistaken? Bob?
I thought we did earmark some money for that. Maybe 1 year or 2 years ago even.
Yeah, so that's not part of the money that Chris Timiak, that's the athletic brewing money I'm thinking of. But I thought there was some money allocated for that. So I was thinking if we have money put aside for that, we could check with Chris Timiak on that, because that might be able to help the scout. I'm not sure if we get earmarked that for the scout. That doesn't work with the scouts though, right? The town can't really fund that, right? For Eagle Scout project, or can they?
It seems to me that if it's money that was earmarked for that repair, and we were going to go up and do it one day once we had all that stuff, or Public Works was going to do it, why couldn't that be available to somebody who's doing it as a volunteer project?
That I'm in agreement with you, Mr. Ford.
And I don't think the scouts would worry about that.
No, no. Okay. So I don't know if there's certain bylaws on Eagle Scout project.
I think Chuck can.
Chuck, that question.
Chuck can answer that question. He's got huge amounts of experience with that.
Yeah, the only thing that they really discourage is the scout funding the project themselves.
Right.
They don't want some kid with a trust fund, paying for their own project. So the part of the lesson of the Eagle project is supposed to be, finding money, being resourceful, managing the project, figuring out where materials are going to come from, and then how do they get to the site and that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's pretty open as to who can donate.
Kelly or Bill, I'm going to ask one of you too, if you could just check with Chris Timiak and see if there's money still set aside for this, for the live edge. We did set money aside.
I know that there would, you probably remember that there was a Boy Scout that was going to do this a couple of years ago, and he never really moved on it. But it's my understanding that the town actually issued a check.
Right. The check
never got delivered and never got cashed. So, and I think it was like $1,200 plus. So.
All right. So my memory is not bad. Yeah, that's the exact money I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Probably about 2 years ago. It was pre-pandemic. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. That's why it's all lumped together. All right. But we'll check on that. And if we can. And if you could put that in the minutes too, Aileen, so we remember. Thank you. Friends of Roosevelt Forest, any other comments on scout camps or live edge repair? Friends of Roosevelt Forest Facebook page. Mr. Ford. You're on mute, Bob.
Thanks. Give me a second. I'm just going to switch over to that.
Thank you. I know while you're switching over, I'll just comment. Thank you for policing that page. I know there's been some comments that you've taken down the past 30 days that have been kind of attacks on certain individuals.
Yeah, well, those come down as soon as I'm aware of them. Anybody who's advertising their personal business, they come down right away. Trying to keep it positive. Lou Lobin likes to post everything he sees that happens up there. And the most recent thing, so this is, via the Facebook page, via Lou, is that we've got damaged fencing all around that parking lot. And, you know, a lot of it has been, you know, some of it was kind of loosely fitting and it fell out and then it gets thrown. And so Public Works should be aware of the fact that at this point you could drive a car through those spaces and you could get a car into, you know, where the picnic tables are. There are some old picnic tables that have been damaged as well, which is up in that area that we kind of referred to as the Girl Scout camp area. But otherwise, you know, we're okay. We're fine. People are discovering the park, and that's, you know, that's nice. We have 375 members of the group, so that's not bad.
No, and the one comment, and I'll go to Kelly. They have that, I'll call them the newer pits, fire pits near the pavilion, and there's a broken table covering that so somebody doesn't fall in. We put that over that temporarily probably a couple months ago, but that needs to be filled in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's right near the pavilion. You'll see the broken table over it. It's a big hole there. It's definitely a hazard that has to be taken care of.
Okay.
Okay, so you guys just need the fire pit filled in and regraded.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's probably the easiest way to do it. Because the fire pit was built, it wasn't built correctly anyways. The oxygen can't get there, so it can't really build a fire anyway.
Yeah, it's a terrible fire pit. Nobody's going to use those as fire pits. You know, for the smoldering that will go on, it will be, you know, there's no advantage. If we wanted to have a good fire pit, we ought to try to put in a good fire pit.
Right, you do it right.
Yeah, yeah, that might be a nice thing to have. But where they were located too is kind of like right down near the parking lot and those right near damaged picnic tables. I can't imagine anybody's going to use them unless they're just very anxious for a stinky fire.
No, so I would call that number two. Number one, though, I would call, Kelly, is the fence to the pond. And I always think about that horrible accident that happened in Bridgeport, Connecticut a couple of years ago, where a woman just drove right into the Pinnell Pond right near Beersley Park with kids. So it's definitely a hazard. There's got to be a barrier to the pond, so a car can't just go from the parking lot into the pond.
Yeah.
I think everybody can agree on that one, right?
Yeah, yeah, we ought to have a reasonable fence around it.
There's got to be some type of barrier of some sort. Not, you know, obviously it's good in forests, right? But I just don't want a parking lot right in the pond area. That's. Oh, your sound's not coming in, and yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I have a new iPad. I can just about hear all of you. Also, Kelly, there's a tree down on the green trail, very small one.
Is that the lime green trail? I think I got an email from Peggy on that. Yeah, okay.
I sent you the one about the lime green. That's not a small tree though.
So there's
maybe-
two down, one on lime and one on regular?
Well, one is right on the path. The other one is leaning against a tree, I think. And actually, there's a lot more leaning against trees that fell recently.
All on the green trail?
Oh, and you're
There's
on
like
mute.
3 on the green trail. And also when you drive right into the Roosevelt Forest, on the left-hand side, there's a lot of dead trees that are falling down.
On the main entrance? The main path
Yes, yes.
there? Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
If this is, if we can continue this conversation about the forest, the map is up on the Roosevelt Forest page. The map is great. Love seeing it. Does anybody know where we stand on maybe getting copies of it at the forest so somebody can actually scan it and use it?
That was something that was on my to-do list as well, and I have not printed them yet and put them in the kiosks. So I do
Okay.
apologize. How
Yeah,
have you guys used the map? What are have you guys been out in the forest with it? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
yeah, I'm curious too. Is you know, I mean, when I go into the forest, I don't use a map at all. But I haven't yet tried. If you scan it, you know, is there any interactivity? Will it show you where you are?
No, unfortunately, it does not. We're not that technologically advanced. It's a static map that it brings up, so it's better than nothing, but not quite that technologically advanced yet. I'm not sure it is. We did include the Roosevelt Trail system on the regional trails viewer that MetroCog is hosting, but I don't think that, I'm not sure if that is queued into your phone's GPS or not either. So that might be static as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, boy,
we'll get
I mean, it would really be a wonderful feature, right? I mean, but I don't know what it, you know, sorry, I just don't know enough about that as to what it would take to tie that in. But it seems like it's, you know, certainly possible, although it's probably a tie-in to some other trail app.
right. Well, I wonder if you can tie it into Google Maps platform, because I've seen trails on Google Maps. I don't know if Roosevelt's on there or not, but I've seen it in other areas. So I wonder if that would be an option, but something to look into. For now, we're advanced as the QR code, which I think is pretty good.
I think so too. I like the idea that we're not using any paper. No
Mhm.
reason to be doing that because it's so unusual at this point for anybody to not be taking a hike with their phone.
Mhm.
I agree.
I'll try, this week I'll be able to get in there. Sometimes, referring to that, you can put your location on, and even with a static map, sometimes it'll, you know, give you a blip. If I open that map through another app like Avenza or something, I'll see if that works, and we can share that information. You know, if something useful comes out of that, I'll share it, and we can forward that to other people. But I agree. I like the idea of not having paper maps. Although, you know, the argument is you always have a paper map because what if you don't have GPS or something? So I'm torn with it, but I like the update, and I used it to find the new entrance that I wasn't aware of. So, you know, with that in mind, it was good. So looks good.
Excellent. And thanks for getting that done too, Kel.
Yeah.
We're jumping out of order a lot, but let's just go to the ultra marathons. I believe these are all approved for this year, right, Aileen? So we have the 6. We don't really have to discuss them, but Blue's got his runs. Park repair. We kind of went through some of those park things, park issues right now. One, obviously, the parking lot. We just got to keep an eye on that. I mean, with plowing, especially, they're not potholes or craters that sometimes form in there. So as long as we keep it, you know, Public Works has been great filling them when they have to. But we talked about the lime green trees down there. There are some trees that we have to walk the forest again this year and make sure to get rid of some of the hazardous trees, or do some pruning, I should say, not really get rid of trees, but more prune them. Any other things that I'm missing?
I have a question. There's going into the Scotland, the parking lot, there's 2 big piles of wood chips and a pile of asphalt. What are they there for? What are their purposes? What are they going to be used for?
I believe that the asphalt millings are for the parking lot to repair potholes, and that the wood chips are going into the dog park. But I have not been involved with either of those, so I don't quote me on either of them. So I'll double check with the appropriate Public Works staff and find out. but I believe that's what they're for.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from members? Okay. And again, if you say something egregious in the park, please send me an email, and CC Kelly, or send Kelly an email and CC me. PW has been excellent on getting response time for things that are happening in emergencies type of situations over there. So sometimes we can't wait. What we had during the storm, we had a power line down near there. So it's stuff like that. We can't wait for the next meeting. Oh, we have a power line down. So we just got to make sure everything gets responded to well. New business. Any new business that we want to bring up today?
Bob, I noticed that on the continuing items that the discussion on James Farm Road property has dropped off the list. Was that intentional or just accidentally left off?
I'm not sure if it was. Aileen, I'll defer to you, but it wasn't. There's nothing really going on with James Farm at this point.
Yeah, no, that was specifically taken off the agenda.
Was that the property of the church?
No. That's the property. Actually, there's a for sale sign out there now. It's the 25 acres between James Farm and Peters Lane that abut the forest.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
properties, there's two parcels there, and I believe they're both still in litigation. And I believe there's several different lawsuits going on between the town and the property owner or developer that I'm not privy to the details of. But I guess the hope would be that we could someday incorporate those into the forest, but I don't have any updates on them.
Peter, if you want to keep that on the agenda, I have no problem keeping it on the agenda. We could at least, that way we keep an eye on it and it's not out of sight, out of mind. Is that what you're alluding to?
In my opinion, I mean, to even the remote possibility of adding land to the forest is huge, really. And, I think we maybe should be kept abreast of what's going on with that parcel. And there was the other parcel over off of the other end. What was that? Patricia Lane, I believe. There was another 6 acre or something parcel that at one time I heard there was funding available to grab that parcel.
Yeah, there's some parcels off of Beaver Dam Road that we have an Oswald grant, an open space and watershed acquisition grant from CT Deep to acquire. And that is currently going through the formal processes it has to go to town council, then to planning, then back to town council, and then we have to do a bunch of A2 surveys or an A2 survey and get the purchase and sale agreement all sorted. So there's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo going on right now, but we are slated to acquire those parcels. And that would encompass the lime green trail, essentially. So that is moving forward.
Oh, that's great.
And Peter, just, you really don't want to be too specific. We could put on the agenda property, how do you want to, we can wordsmith it on there. But I want to talk about specific properties on the agenda because that's pending legal negotiations and that could drive up the price for the town to specific properties, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I don't understand those kind of workings. I just thought it was something that we should, monitor. I don't know if we have a pipeline to get information, to this, commission on what's going on with that. So, but it's always been of interest, at least to me, that, the potential to add to the forest is huge, I think.
Yeah, and Peter, I believe it or not, I agree with you 100% on that. We were always looking for town of Stratford property that was, adjacent to the forest so we can incorporate a part of the forest. And there's a lot of properties I could think of on the south side. Actually, Kelly and I just had a conversation on the south side of a property recently, as of last month. And on the, definitely on the, we got to get my sides right. The west side, obviously, there's a large parcel as well. I'm not sure as much on the north. That's usually mostly the state of Connecticut property near Route 8, but definitely the east side, what you're referring to, the James Farm Road property. Aileen, if you could put in as continuing items, just we could call it expansion of Roosevelt Forest or something, or we'll wordsmith it better than, I'll trust you to wordsmith it in there for me.
We just have to come up with some way or somebody that can update us, because I don't think,
Well, Kelly can.
Kelly, you do want to,
Yeah, I guess the issue is because those, especially the Jamestown Road and Peters Lane parcels, because those are in litigation, they won't even tell me any details, except that it's still in litigation. So that's
right.
all I can tell you, because I don't know anything else. They just don't want to, I guess, talk about it because it's still attorney-client privilege situation. So as I hear of anything, though, I'll definitely let you folks know.
Yeah,
Guys,
let us know, if we can organize in March or whatever it is that we could do.
Well, Peter, I get alerted sometimes when there's going to be some zoning stuff on that if James Farm Road, if they're going to have a public hearing or something like that. And if I do, I'll make sure that the entire commission knows, we've been asked to speak, so we can make sure of that. Because Aileen hears it usually, and then she notifies me, but I can notify the commission. I think we had that a couple months ago. Everything seems like a couple months ago, but it was probably pre-pandemic. So that I think we lost 2 years. I feel like I'm in the TV show Manifest. It's like 2 years later, and here we are.
So I have a comment on 795 property. That was in, it's on sale right now for, I believe, 3 million, but the concerned citizens were fighting the developer, and I believe the developer owns money to the town. So that's where we stand right now.
Thank you, Ellen.
You're welcome.
Any other new business? Trail markers, we should have been out there today marking trails because today was the perfect day to do it. But normally we plan would be on Friday when it's 3 to 6 inches of snow. So obviously this spring, it would be a great time for, who could get together on a Saturday morning and mark some trails. So we'll probably pick a date. Where are we now? We're in February, March meeting, but probably April, May timeframe before it gets too bad to mark up trails that need to be marked. And while you guys all use the forest, if you can figure out what trails you think need some attention on trail marking, just let us know, and that'll be the one we concentrate on first and kind of go down the aisle on that. The cameras, I gave a quick update on that. They're imminent. I was told, I want to get the exact date. My guess, they'll be in there within 6 months, probably closer to 3, but that's from Chief McNeil. So the cameras are coming. So that's good news on that.
Will they be monitored, Bob, or just DVR?
They'll be mostly DVR. There's not going to be anybody monitoring them. What happens most of the time, and I see this with a lot of towns that have these cameras, and I think it was Clinton, Connecticut. They'll have cameras on all the fields, and then someone notices some damage on the field. They can go back, 24, 48, 72 hours and see what happened. But it's not going to be live action. You're not going to catch someone in the act. It's just, PD doesn't have that set up at the Emergency Operations Center at the fire department to monitor that. But it's listen, vandalism's a problem in Stratford and many communities in Connecticut. So hopefully this will act as a deterrent. And I will say the towns that have utilized cameras at their parks, the vandalism does go down. So kids think twice. It's usually kids. That's the whole camera thing. Any other comments on that? I don't want to cut off discussion on cameras, that's for sure. But the other thing is, Kelly, too, and just before I forget, the wood chips for the south side near the Pumpkin Ground Brook area, we'll talk about that. I know you guys have chips to just that muddy part, just where it gets super muddy going into the bridge.
Yeah, thank you. We'll need to coordinate that. hopefully that's something that maybe we can see if Parks can assist with. I don't anticipate that's going to be a huge effort, but I don't know what their schedule is currently. So
Yeah, but
please
that,
feel free to text me on that.
yeah, it's just like right now, this is the worst time of year. You can't even get to the bridge. It's just,
Mud
you know,
season. Yep.
you're 12 inches in.
Yep.
Any other comments, questions, omissions, additions? Well, great. If none, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Mr. Ford, seconded by Pete. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned at 7:12 p.m. Thank you all for all you do. Appreciate it.
Thanks.